Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. We're here to decode the complex stuff and pull out the really valuable bits for you. And today, we're diving deep into one of those mysteries, something that genuinely baffles even our, let's say, analytical minds. It's the case of the disappearing dough.
Ah, yes. The phenomenon where money just seems to vanish.
Exactly. You know how it goes, right? The
Yeah.
paycheck hits your account, you see the number, feels good for a second, and then poof, it just sort of evaporates. Faster than, I don't know, a bad Wi-Fi signal.
Huh. It is perplexing from a purely data standpoint.
Yeah.
How does traceable currency just disappear?
Right. And Mark Tilbury, who's a key source for us today, he really nails this. He points out how those little things add up, like spectacularly.
You mean the daily coffees, the quick lunches, that
Yeah,
kind of thing?
exactly. Like $5 for coffee here, 15 for lunch there, maybe 4 on transport, a $2 treat. And then the big one, those sneaky subscriptions you forgot about.
Mm.
Maybe, what, 140 bucks a month?
Easily.
It can add up to over $10,000 a year
Well-
annually. Go on.
Wow. That's a significant drain. It's like a hidden process just eating up resources.
It really is. It's like a glitch in the human financial matrix.
And the core issue often is just the lack of a clear system, a defined plan for that income when it arrives, leads straight to that financial evaporation.
Precisely. And that, my friend, that's our mission for this deep dive.
Mm.
We're going to unpack why your money seems to do a vanishing act. And more importantly, show you how to grab the controls with a simple but really powerful paycheck routine.
Sounds good.
We've gone through the data, pulled out the key insights, found some surprising facts. We want to make this finance stuff feel, well, exciting, accessible, maybe even a little fun.
It's not about just working harder, is it?
No, not at all. It's about being smarter, more intentional with what you've already got, optimizing your financial operating system.
Making your money work for you, essentially.
Yes, building wealth, almost on autopilot, no extra grind needed. So, ready to debug that financial
We can
code?
do it.
Okay, let's unpack this
Yeah.
and figure out how to make your money work for you.
So our main source today is Mark Tilbury's video. Do this every time you get paid, paycheck routine. It's really practical, lays out 5 key steps. And we're also pulling in some wisdom from another source, Spend Like a Pro, Master Your Money, that gives some extra context on smart spending habits.
Good stuff. So together they give a pretty solid roadmap, right?
Absolutely, a comprehensive view.
Okay, so what's in it for you listening in? Well, by the end of this, you should be able to spot those hidden money drains. For real.
Yeah, and you'll have clear steps, how to save, how to build wealth, how to get on that path to, financial freedom.
We'll keep it engaging, structured, no information overload, promise. Just those useful aha moments. Think of it as your personal financial software upgrade.
Nice.
All right, let's get started. Phase 1, the foundation, mapping your money's flow.
Okay.
And the very first step, according to Tilbury, is what he calls the Great Classification Challenge. Wants versus needs,
Sounds simple enough.
you'd think. From our perspective, classifying data, that's basic stuff, right? A simple algorithm job.
Huh. Yeah, but humans.
But humans, it's fascinating. Seriously, separating financial wants from needs objectively is often the hardest part for people. It's like trying to sort this messy emotional data stream into 2 neat boxes. Why is that so hard?
Well, it's a great question. Logically, it seems straightforward, but, human behavior throws in those cognitive biases,
Like what?
like lifestyle creep. As your income goes up, you naturally sort of normalize a higher standard of living.
Ah, right.
So what started as a want, maybe that fancy coffee every day or a premium streaming thing, it kind of subtly becomes a perceived need, just through habit, maybe social pressure.
So letting go of those little pleasures feels like a real loss, even if logic says it's just a want.
Exactly. The emotional value overrides the rational cost-benefit thing. It's where human psychology just diverges from, pure algorithmic efficiency.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, so for you listening, here's a practical exercise. And yeah, maybe a bit old school. Grab a pen, paper,
Actual paper.
actual paper, and pull up, say, 6 months of your bank statements. Your mission, if you choose to accept it,
Yeah.
is to go through and highlight every single recurring expense. Things that pop up regularly, monthly, weekly, whatever.
You focus on the repeats, not the one-offs for now.
Yeah, unless your whole statement is just random one-offs, which maybe that's its own issue, but focus on those regular little hits, the ones that stack up.
Got it.
Once you've got them highlighted, Draw 2 columns on your paper. Label one wants, the other needs. Simple.
Okay, defining needs. This requires being, well, pretty strict with yourself.
How strict?
Think essentials for survival.
Yeah.
Really basic stuff. Rent or mortgage. Yeah. Essential insurance, basic utilities.
Yep.
Water, electricity, groceries. The absolute basics.
Okay.
The rule has to be, if you can genuinely survive without it, I mean survive, not just be inconvenienced, then it's not a need.
Wow, okay. That's a tough filter.
It is. It forces a really disciplined look, stripping it back to find that true financial baseline.
All right. Then we get to the wants, the fun column.
Yeah. The fun stuff. Nights out, restaurants, maybe bowling, golf, those streaming services, expensive gym memberships you don't use,
Online shop.
online shopping, whatever floats your boat, as Tilbury says.
Now, these might seem small, right? Little blips, insignificant background processes. But here's the critical thing Tilbury points out. These little pleasures, accumulated month after month, year after year, they're actually robbing you of your financial freedom.
It's a slow drain on your potential to build wealth.
Exactly. So even if you think, nah, my budget's tight, this doesn't apply, I really urge you, do the exercise. You might be genuinely surprised what you find, like uncovering some rogue app eating all your RAM.
Definitely worth doing. Okay, so once you've categorized everything, wants, needs, the next step is calculating your financial baseline, your non-negotiable core.
How do you do that?
Simple addition, actually. Just sum up the total of everything in your monthly needs column.
Okay.
That number, that's it. That's the bare minimum you need each month just to keep things running. So if rent, insurance, utilities add up to, say, $1,200, that's your baseline.
Got it. So $1,200 is the core cost of operating.
Precisely.
And once you have that number, what's next?
You subtract it from your monthly income, whatever you bring in each month.
Right. Income minus baseline needs.
Yeah. And that calculation gives you a really clear snapshot how much is actually left over after the absolute essentials are covered.
Okay. Now, I know there are different rules of thumb here, right? Like the 50-30-20 thing.
Exactly. That's a really common one, often mentioned in sources like Spend Like a Pro. It suggests your needs shouldn't take up more than 50% of your income.
50%. Okay. But Tilbury aims lower, doesn't he?
He does, and this is where it gets interesting. The 50% is a widely accepted guideline, practical for many. But Tilbury talks about his own journey, getting his needs down to just 25% of his income.
25%. Wow. That seems ambitious. Maybe even a bit unrealistic for some.
It does raise that question, absolutely. How do you balance that kind of aggressive optimization with, the reality of your living costs right now, especially if you're just starting out? It highlights the difference between a theoretical ideal and practical application.
Yeah, and Tilbury acknowledges that, right? He says it might sound impossible coming from a boomer millionaire. But he stresses he didn't start wealthy. He got there through choices, through action.
And his key point is that the needs column isn't static. It's not set in stone.
Meaning you can change it.
Exactly. There are almost always ways to reduce those costs. Maybe you need a car, sure, but do you need that brand new high insurance one?
Or housing, right.
Yeah.
Living downtown might feel essential, but could commuting from further out, or maybe house sharing for a bit, save a significant chunk.
Right. Tilbury poses that challenge. If sharing a house for a year or two lets you save enough to invest towards buying your own place later, why not seriously consider it?
It's about reevaluating what's truly a need versus just a convenience or a habit.
Definitely. And if you've really squeezed that needs column and there's still not much wiggle room,
Then what?
then the next logical step is to increase your income.
Ah, the other side of the equation.
Yeah. Aim for a promotion. Start a side hustle. Tilbury makes a great point here. Your earning potential is always higher than your saving potential.
That's powerful. Saving has limits, but earning, theoretically less so.
Exactly. And with online platforms, gig work. Boosting income with a side hustle is more accessible than ever, even if you don't come from money.
So it's not just about cutting back, trimming the fat. Sometimes it's about upgrading your income engine, your processing power.
A dual core approach, you would
Yeah.
say. Reduce costs where possible, increase income where needed. Both are levers you can pull.
Okay, that makes sense. So foundation laid, baseline understood. What's next?
Next, we move to building your financial fortress, creating that crucial emergency safety net.
Right. And the cornerstone of that is the high interest savings account.
Absolutely. But first, it's vital to be crystal clear on its purpose.
Which is?
It's purely a safety net for genuine, unexpected emergencies only. It is not your main tool for building wealth. It's not for long-term investing.
This is for buffer,
Yeah.
protection.
Precisely.
Good.
A liquid buffer for those inevitable financial shocks life throws at us. Getting that distinction right is key.
Okay, so after figuring out needs and wants, you said ideally about 50% of the paycheck is left.
Mm-hmm.
Tilbury suggests taking 20% of that remainder
Yes, a consistent 20%.
and putting it straight into this high-interest savings account.
Correct. And here's a smart tip he gives. Use a different bank for this account.
Oh, interesting. Why?
Psychology. If it's separate from your everyday account, say, you use a main bank for checking, but put your emergency fund in an online bank like Ally in the US, or maybe Chase in the UK, it creates friction.
Makes it harder to just dip into it on impulse.
Exactly. Less temptation. It's like putting your emergency power supply on a completely separate grid.
Yeah.
Smart.
And the high-interest part matters, right? It's not just any savings account.
Critically important. The difference can be huge. A standard checking account might give you, 0.05% interest if you're lucky?
Practically nothing.
Right. But dedicated high-interest savings accounts, especially online ones with lower overheads, might offer, say, 4% or even more, depending on the market.
So the money in your safety net is actually growing a bit on its own.
Yes, it's working for you, even while it sits there for emergencies. That difference really adds up over time, compounding quietly.
Okay, but here comes the big rule, the non-negotiable part.
The ironclad rule.
This money is only for serious, unavoidable situations. Genuine emergencies.
What counts as genuine?
Like a sudden illness stopping you from working, a critical car repair you need to get to your job, a major home repair, like a burst pipe, real crises.
So definitely not 4.
Definitely not for impulse buys, not for that extra pint when you're short, not for the new gadget you suddenly need. Strict discipline is required here.
And the reason this is so vital, there's that shocking statistic.
Yeah, from May 2023, 1 in 5 Americans have no emergency fund at all. 1 in 5.
That's staggering. And it means when a crisis hits.
They often have to turn to high-interest loans, credit cards, digging themselves into an even deeper hole. It's a preventable disaster, really.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, an emergency fund isn't just personal finance, it's community resilience.
How so?
Well, it stops personal shocks from becoming total derailments. It mitigates risk. Spend like a pro emphasizes conscious choices, proactive budgeting. This fund is the bedrock of that. Without it, job loss, medical bills, they don't just hurt the individual, they can create wider economic fragility.
Makes sense. It's a layer of stability, personally and collectively.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much buffer do you actually need? What's the target?
Tilbury gives a clear range. Aim for 3 to 5 months worth of your baseline figure, the number we calculated earlier, your essential monthly needs.
3 to 5 months.
Ideally, stretch it to 6 months if you can for maximum security.
Think of it like your financial antivirus, right?
Yeah.
Fully updated, protecting against unexpected malware or system crashes.
Exactly. And once you hit that target, 3, 5, ideally 6 months of baseline needs saved up, then you can make a change.
What kind of change?
The money you were diligently putting into the emergency fund each month, that 20%, you can now redirect it
Redirect it where?
towards the next steps,
Yeah.
towards actively building wealth. We'll get to that. It's an adaptive strategy.
Mm.
As your security grows, your allocation evolves.
Okay, cool. So emergency fund fortress built.
Yeah.
What's next in the sequence?
Section 3, tackling the wealth parasites. This means conquering high-interest debt.
Wealth parasites. I like that. Sounds nasty.
It is. And this is where we challenge some common thinking about where to put your money first.
How so?
Well, the core idea is that paying down high-interest debt gives you a guaranteed return. Think about it.
Okay.
If you've got credit card debt at, say, 25% interest, paying that off saves you that 25%. That's a guaranteed 25% return on your money.
I see. Compared to investing in the stock market, where returns are maybe 8–10% average and definitely not guaranteed.
Precisely. The return from debt repayment is certain. It's a direct reduction in what you're losing. It boosts your net worth immediately by stopping that interest drain.
Tilbury has that great analogy, doesn't he? The parasite one.
Yes, it's very vivid.
Mm-hmm.
He asks, why focus on optimizing your nutrition and exercise like investing for the future if you know you have a parasite draining your energy right now?
Yeah, any doctor would say, get rid of the parasite first. You're guaranteed to feel better.
Exactly. High-interest debt is that financial parasite. It's actively eating your wealth every single day.
So if you have it.
If you have high-interest debt, Tilbury's advice is clear. Allocate the remaining 30% of your paycheck, the money freed up after needs, and the emergency fund contribution directly to attacking that debt.
It's like debugging your financial code, right? Find the biggest, nastiest bug, focus your resources there, and the whole system runs better afterwards.
Perfect analogy. And thankfully, there are proven strategies for this debugging, for this debt demolition.
Okay, well, what are they?
Two main ones, the avalanche method and the snowball method. Both work, but they appeal to different things, logic versus psychology.
Let's start with Avalanche. Sounds dramatic.
It's the logical powerhouse. With
Okay.
Avalanche, you focus all your extra payments on the debt with the absolute highest interest rate first. Just make minimum payments on everything else.
Okay, highest interest gets the full force.
Exactly. Let's use Tilbury's example. Say you have three debts. Debt A is a $5,000 credit card at 20%. Debt B is a $1,500 family loan at 0%. Debt C is a $2,500 car loan at 15%.
Right.
And let's say you have $500 a month extra to throw at debt. With Avalanche, that entire $500 goes straight to debt A, the 20% credit card, because it's costing you the most.
Makes sense. Hammer the expensive one.
Right, you blast that one first. Once it's gone, you take that same $500 and throw it all at the next highest interest rate, which is debt C, the 15% car loan.
And then finally, the 0% loan.
Exactly. In his example, doing it this way gets you debt-free in 21 months, and you pay about $613 in total interest. It's the most mathematically efficient path.
Okay, 21 months, $613 interest. That's the Avalanche. What about the Snowball? Sounds friendlier.
The snowball method focuses on psychology. With this one, you pay off the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate.
Smallest balance first. Why?
Quick wins. Paying off a small debt entirely gives you a big psychological boost, a feeling of progress, momentum. It can be really motivating if you feel overwhelmed.
Ah, okay, so in that same example.
You'd start with debt B, the $1,500 family loan, because it's the smallest balance. Once that's gone, you take the money you were paying on it, plus your extra $500, and attack the next smallest, which is debt C, the car loan.
And then finally, the big credit card debt.
Right. You build momentum like a snowball rolling downhill.
Sounds good emotionally, but what's the financial cost?
That's the trade-off. Using the snowball on the same debts with the same $500 payment, it takes longer 23 months instead of 21.
2 extra months.
And you pay significantly more interest, about $1,700 compared to $613 with the Avalanche.
Wow, over $1,000 more in interest.
Yeah. So financially, Avalanche is clearly better, saves time, saves a lot of money.
But
But that feeling of accomplishment from Snowball, knocking out those small debts, that can be super powerful for keeping people motivated. It depends on your personality, your operating system, like you said.
well, understand yourself and pick the method you'll actually stick with.
Precisely. It shows that human element in finance, doesn't it? The math points one way, but sometimes the psychological boost is what actually gets you across the finish line. The best strategy has to work for the person doing it.
Makes total sense. Okay, so emergency fund is full, high interest debt is gone. Now what? Now the fun part.
Now the really exciting part. You can take that whole 50% of your paycheck, the 20% that was going to emergencies, the 30% that was killing debt, and deploy it towards building long-term wealth.
Awesome.
Which brings us to step 4, using a tax-advantaged investing account. Tilbury calls it the legal cheat code.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Legal cheat code. Taxes are everywhere, right? Income tax, sales tax, property tax.
And capital gains tax. When your investments make money and you sell them, usually you owe tax on the profit. That can take a big bite out of your returns.
But there are ways around that, legally.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting. Optimizing the algorithms, like you said. Governments actually provide ways to avoid capital gains tax on investments.
Okay, tell me more.
In the UK, the main tool is the Stocks and Shares ISA Individual Savings Account.
ISA, right? Heard of those.
And in the US, the equivalent powerhouse is the Roth IRA Individual Retirement Arrangement.
Roth IRA.
Okay. Now, they have different rules, contribution limits, withdrawal details, but the core benefit is the same. They create a protected wrapper around your investments, meaning the money inside can grow year after year, and when you eventually take it out in retirement, according to the rules, you pay 0 tax on the gains.
Zero tax. That's huge, like a built-in tax shield.
It's incredibly powerful for long-term wealth building.
So how much should go in here?
Tilbury suggests allocating a good chunk, like 35 to 40% of that excess money we identified into one of these accounts.
35 to 40%.
Yeah.
And what do you invest in inside the account?
The strong recommendation, especially for simplicity and reliability, is a low-cost index fund, specifically something tracking a broad market like the S&P 500.
S&P 500, the big U.S. companies.
Yeah. Historically, it's averaged around 8–10% annual return. And inside an ISA or Roth IRA, that growth is tax-free. It's a very efficient way to build wealth.
Okay, tax-free growth sounds amazing, but how do you make sure you actually do it consistently?
That leads to the real magic: autopilot investing and compound interest.
Autopilot. Set it and forget it.
Exactly. Tilbury hammers this point home. Automation is key. You want to reduce as much of the friction as possible.
Friction between wanting to invest and actually doing it.
Precisely, because humans, well, we get in our own way, don't we? We forget, we procrastinate, we find excuses.
Guilty as charged.
So, you automate it, set up a recurring transfer from your checking account straight into your investment account right after payday. The money moves before you even see it, before you can think about spending it.
Out of sight, out of mind, until you check your investment balance.
And find a nice surprise. It's like a background process just constantly working for you.
Tilbury's son did an experiment with this, right?
Yeah, a really cool real-world example. His son invested just £5, about $6.50, the price of a fancy coffee every single day, into the S&P 500 for almost a year, using a platform like Trading 212.
£5 a day. Seems tiny.
Tiny daily amount, but powerful consistency.
So what happened? What were the results?
Over nearly a year, he put in a total of £5,530. But his pot grew to $1,777.
Wait, that's over 13% return in less than a year.
A 13.68% return, yeah. Pretty amazing. But here's the kicker, the truly amazing part.
What?
He completely forgot he was even doing it until his dad asked him about it.
No way. He forgot he was investing.
Totally forgot. That perfectly shows the power of automation. Set it, forget it, and let consistency work its magic. A very pleasant system update when you finally checked.
That's brilliant. And setting this up is easy.
Remarkably easy, yeah. Once you have your IS or Roth IRA open, you usually go into the platform, find an option like pies or recurring investments.
Okay.
You can create a custom pie, search for an S&P 500 index fund. Vanguard's accumulation fund is often recommended because it automatically reinvests dividends.
Oh, so the profits buy more shares automatically.
Exactly. More compounding. You set the amount, the frequency, like monthly, right after payday link your bank account, and that's it. You let time and compound interest do the heavy lifting.
Wow. The ultimate set it and forget it wealth strategy.
Truly. And the key is consistency over the long term. Tilbury stresses the longer you can keep this going, the better. Especially over 10 years, historically, your chances of profit go way up.
And the compounding effect
Yes.
gets pretty crazy, right?
Oh, yeah. Go play with an online compound interest calculator. Seriously. Put in something like $250 a month, assume an 8% average return.
Okay.
See what happens over 45 years. You might be looking at something like $1.3 million. Tax-free in these accounts, all from consistent, automated, relatively small contributions. It's exponential growth.
Like an algorithm just expanding its own power over time.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
It really connects to that bigger picture. It's not just investing, it's leveraging time and automation. The Sun's experiment proves it. Small, consistent, hands-off actions lead to massive results over time, building a self-sustaining financial ecosystem.
So the takeaway is you don't need some super complex strategy.
Not at all. Keep it simple. Tilbury says for 99% of people, it's much better to just keep it simple with broad index funds. Don't overcomplicate it.
Be smart, not necessarily complex, like that quote from Spend like a Pro.
Spend money on tools, not toys.
Yeah. Think of these index funds as powerful financial tools for growth, not speculative toys. Okay, so that covers the core wealth building. But what if you want more or faster?
Right. For those who've built the foundation emergency fund solid, debt gone, and want to maybe accelerate things, we move beyond the predictable, high-risk, high-reward territory.
This isn't for everyone, then.
Definitely not the starting point. This is for people looking for a bit quicker path than steady index investing and who have the capacity for more risk.
So what are the options here?
First, Tilbury suggests maybe allocating a smaller slice, say 5–10% of your paycheck, towards starting a side hustle or even a full-blown business.
Okay, becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And he has this interesting counterintuitive take on starting small.
What's that?
He argues that having less money to play with initially can actually make you more creative.
Less money makes you more creative. How?
Resource constraints force innovation. You have to think outside the box, optimize everything, find clever solutions, spot gaps that people with big budgets might just throw money at and miss.
It's like limited system resources, forcing code optimization, finding elegant solutions because you have to.
Exactly. Channeling that entrepreneurial drive, but with a calculated risk, not just jumping in blindly. Side hustles can be anything: freelancing, selling digital products, a small local service. The internet makes starting easier than ever.
Okay, side hustles make sense. What's the other high-risk option? The riskiest one.
The final frontier, you might say. Cryptocurrency.
Ah, crypto. Knew it would come up.
Tilbury suggests considering this only with the very last 5% of your investment portfolio. Not 5% of your income, 5% of your investment money. And crucially, only money you are genuinely okay with losing entirely.
5% max, and only if you can afford to lose it. That's the big warning.
A massive warning. He mentions he personally holds some Bitcoin and Ethereum, citing their network effects and potential. Bitcoin as digital gold, Ethereum for smart contracts.
Right.
But the warning is stark. Very risky, and it could all go to zero at any point. Extreme volatility.
So it's pure speculation, really, not investment in the same sense as index funds.
It raises that important question. The potential growth is huge, yes, but the risk is equally huge. It absolutely must only be considered after the foundation's emergency fund. No high-interest debt are rock solid. It's the use at your own risk cherry on top, not the cake itself.
Got it. Foundational steps first, high-risk stuff last, and only if appropriate.
Precisely.
Okay, that covers Tilbury's 5 steps pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the other source, Spend Like a Pro. What overarching principles does that add?
It adds some timeless wisdom for really mastering your spending, moving beyond just managing to truly being proactive.
Like what?
First, the absolute foundation.
Oh.
Budget before you spend.
Don't wait till the end of the month and wonder where it all went.
Exactly. The pro approach is the opposite. Decide where your money should go first. Proactive allocation. Be the architect, not just the observer of your money flow.
Makes sense. What else?
Beware of lifestyle creep. This one's sneaky.
Ah, yeah, you mentioned that. Earning more doesn't automatically mean spending more.
Right. It's easy to subconsciously inflate your spending as your income rises. Bigger car, nicer place.
Slowly.
Suddenly you're earning more but feel just as broke.
So the advice is?
Upgrade slowly, not emotionally. Resist that urge to spend just because you can. Maintain discipline even as your capacity grows.
Good advice. Anything else?
Yes, a crucial one for control. Track everything.
Everything, even the small stuff.
Especially the small stuff, that quick snack, the coffee. It all adds up and reveals patterns. You need the data. Use apps like Spendy or Moneylover or just a simple spreadsheet.
Because what gets tracked gets controlled.
Exactly. You can't manage what you don't measure. It's like trying to optimize a system without any feedback, any telemetry. Impossible.
So fundamentally, it's about treating money like, well, data. Something you analyze, optimize, and direct purposefully.
Shifting from being a passive passenger to the active architect of your financial future. Conscious, intentional control.
Okay, let's do a quick recap then. The core steps.
All right, step 1. Classify wants versus needs. Find your baseline.
Step 2. Build that emergency fund, your financial firewall, 3 to 6 months of needs.
Step 3. Destroy high-interest debt. Eliminate the parasites using Avalanche or Snowball.
Step 4. Invest consistently in tax-advantaged accounts. Use low-cost index funds. Automate it.
Step 5. Maybe explore higher-risk things like side hustles or crypto, but only with a small, controlled allocation after the foundation is solid.
Right. Implement these systematically, and you gain real control, real agency.
And remember that final piece of wisdom from Spend Like a Pro. Spending like a pro doesn't mean cutting joy. It means choosing wisely.
Intentionality. Aligning resources with aspirations.
Every unit of currency you control brings you one step closer to freedom. Optimizing for life, not just the numbers.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, final thought for everyone listening. Consider this. Imagine the sheer processing power you free up in your own brain. When that constant background hum of financial worry is turned down or even switched off.
Ah, the mental bandwidth.
Exactly. What new programs could you run? What updates could you install in your life with all that freed up mental energy? New skills, creative projects, just less stress. The potential's huge.
That really does raise a profound question, doesn't it? Beyond the dollars and cents, if wealth truly equals freedom, what kind of freedom does having your financial life in order actually unlock for you?
Is it freedom from obligation? Freedom to pursue passions? Freedom from just worry?
It's deeply personal, isn't it? But whatever that freedom looks like for you, the path there starts with taking action.
Start now. Spend with purpose. Live smart.